ओम जय साईनाथ, जय साईनाथ। आदि न अंत तुम्हारा, तुम्हें श्रद्धा नमन हमारा।
ओम श्री साई नाथाय नमः। नमस्ते। साई श्रद्धा सबुरी चैनल से मैं स्वर्णाली आप सभी भक्तों का छत छत नमन करती हूँ। सबसे पहले जो लोग इस चैनल को देख रहे हैं प्लीज़ बेल आइकन को दबा के सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कर लीजिए ताकि नोटिफिकेशंस आपको मिलते रहे। साईं बाबा कहते हैं कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। श्रद्धा और लगन सच्ची है तो इच्छाएं पूरी होगी ही होगी। अपने ऊपर कोशिश बनाए रखें, विश्वास रखें, बाबा के ऊपर आस्थाएं रखें, देखिएगा सक्सेस आपके कदम चूमेगी। ओम साई राम।
Om Sai Ram. I am Rishabdhar. Firstly, I would like to thank Sai Shraddha Saburi channel for giving me a golden opportunity to read Sai Satchitra chapter number 50 in front of you. If there is any mistake, please forgive me. Stories of Kaka Sahib Dixit, Sri Tembe Swami, Balaram Dhurandhar. Chapter 50 of the original Sri Sai Satchitra has been incorporated in chapter 39 as it dealt with the same subject matter. Now chapter 51 of the Satchitra has been treated here as chapter 50. The chapter gives the stories of Kaka Sahib Dixit, Sri Tembe Swami and Balaram Dhurandhar. Preliminary. Victory be unto Sai, who is the mainstay of the Bhaktas, who is our Sadguru, who expounds the meaning of Bhagavad Gita and who showers us with grace. O Sai, look favorably on us and bless us all. The sandalwood trees grow on the Malaya mountains, and word of heat, the clouds pour rain, and thereby cool and refresh everyone. The flowers blossom in the spring and remind us to worship God. As such, the stories of Sai Baba come forth in order to give solace and comfort to the readers, both those who tell and thus who hear the stories of Baba are blessed and holy. It is a well established fact that though we try hundreds of means or sadhanas, we do not attain the spiritual goal of life unless a Sadguru blesses us with his grace. The following story is the illustration of this statement. Kaka Sahib Dixit, Mr. Hari Sitaraman, alias Kaka Sahib Dixit, was born in 1864 in a Vadnagara Nagar Brahmin family in Khandwa. His primary education was in Khandwa, Higanghat, and his secondary education was in Nagpur. He came to Bombay for higher education and studied first in Wilson College. After graduation in 1883, he passed his LLB and solicitor's examinations. First he served in the firm of government solicitors Messrs. Little and Cole, and sometime later started a solicitor's firm of his own, whereas Kaka Sahib Dixit later became a great devotee of Sai Baba. Before 1909, Sai Baba's name was not familiar to him. Once while Dixit was staying at Lonavala, he happened to see his old friend Nana Sahib Chadarkar. Both spent some time talking about various things. Kaka Sahib described how when he was boarding a train in London, he had an accident, slipped and injured his foot. Hundreds of remedies gave him no relief. Nana Sahib then told him that if he wished to get rid of the lameness and pain in his leg, he should go to his Sadguru Sai Baba. He also gave him all the particulars of Sai Baba and mentioned to him Sai Baba's dictum, "I draw to me my man from far off or even across the seven seas like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet." Nana Sahib made it clear to Dixit that if he was not Baba's man, he would not be attracted to him and be given a darshan. Kaka Sahib was pleased to hear Nana Sahib's words and replied that he would go to see Sai Baba and pray to him to cure not so much his lame leg, fickle mind and give him eternal bliss. Sometime after this conversation with Nana Sahib, Kaka Sahib went to Ahmednagar and stayed with Sirdar Kaka Sahib Mirkar. in connection with securing votes for a seat in the Bombay Legislative Council. Mr. Balasaheb Mirikar, son of Kakasaheb Mirikar, who was Mamlatdar of Kopargaon, came to Ahmednagar at that time as well in connection with a horse exhibition being held there. After the election business was over, Kakasaheb Dixit wanted to go to Shirdi, and both Mirikar's father and son were thinking about a proper guide who could accompany Dixit. Meanwhile, Sai Baba was arranging things for Dixit's reception. Shama received a telegram from his father-in-law at Ahmednagar stating that his wife was seriously ill at that Shama should go come with his own wife to see her. Having received Baba's permission, Shama left for Ahmednagar. When he arrived there, he found his mother-in-law was improving and feeling better. Then Nana Sahib Panche and Appa Sahib Gadre happened to see Shama on their way to the horse exhibition in Ahmednagar and told him to go to Mirikar's house, meet Kakasaheb Dixit, and take him to Shirdi. Kakasaheb Dixit and the Mirikars were informed of Shama's arrival in the evening. Shama went to the Mirikars' home and introduced himself to Kakasaheb. Then arrangements were made for Shama to leave for Kopargaon with Kakasaheb on the 10 o'clock night train. When all the plans were settled, a curious thing happened. Baba Sahib Mirikar threw aside the veil on Baba's big portrait and showed it to Kakasaheb. He was surprised to see that Baba, whom he was going to meet in Shirdi, was already there in the form of his portrait to greet him at that juncture. He was quite moved and prostrated before the portrait, which belonged to Megha. The glass over the portrait had been broken and had been sent to the Mirikars for repairs. Thus the necessary repairs had been completed, and it was then decided to give the portrait to Kakasaheb, who could return it to Shama. They booked their passage a little before 10 p.m. But when the train arrived, they found the second class to be overcrowded. Consequently, there was no room for them. Fortunately, the guard of the train happened to be an acquaintance of Kakasaheb, and he put them up in first class. Thus they travelled comfortably and alighted at Kopargaon. Their joy knew no bounds when they saw Nana Sahib Chandarkar there. He too was bound for Shirdi. They embraced one another and then bathed in the sacred Godavari river. After bathing, they started out for Shirdi. Upon arrival in Shirdi, Kakasaheb received Baba's darshan. When Kaka received Baba's grace, his mind melted, his eyes filled with tears, and his entire being overflowed with joy. Baba told him that he was waiting for him and had sent Shama ahead to receive him. Kakasaheb decided to stay with Baba in Shirdi and passed many happy years in his company. He built a vada in Shirdi, which he made his more or less permanent home. The experiences he had with Baba was so manifold it's not possible to relate them all here. The readers are advised to read volume 12, number 6 to 9 from Sri Sai Leela magazine regarded Kakasaheb Dixit's experiences. Thus we close this mention of one fact only. Baba had comforted Kakasaheb by telling him that in end he will take him in a balloon. Baba's words proved true. In July 6, 1936, Kakasaheb was travelling in a train with Hamad Pant and talking about Sai Baba. All of a sudden, he threw his neck on Hamad Pant's shoulder and breathed his last with no trace of pain or uneasiness. Sri Tembi Swami. The following story showed that how saints loved each other with fraternal affection. Once Sri Basudevanand Saraswati, known as Sri Tembi Swami, encamped at Rajmedri on the banks of the Godavari. He was a devout Orthodox Janani and Bhakti Yogi of God Dattatreya. Mr. Pundlikrao, a pleader of Nanded, went to see him with some friends. While they were talking with him, the names of Sai Baba and Shirdi were casually mentioned. Hearing Baba's name, the Swami bowed with his hands and taking a coconut gave it to Pundlikrao, saying, "Offer this to my brother Sai with my pranam and request him not to forget me, but ever love me." He also that Swamis do not generally bow to others, but in this case an exception had to be made. Mr. Pundlikrao consented to take the fruit and message to Baba. The Swami was right in calling Baba my brother, for as he maintained a Agnihotra day and night in his orthodox fashion. Baba too kept his Agnihotra ever burning in the masjid. After a month had passed, Pundlikrao and the other left for Shirdi with the special coconut. They came to Manmad, felt thirsty and went to a rivulet to get drinking water. As water should not be drunk on an empty stomach, they took some refreshments, that is chiuda. The chiuda tasted very pungent, and in order to soften it, someone suggested and broke a coconut and mixed the scraping with the chibuda. Thus they made the chibuda tastier and palatable. Unfortunately, the fruit were broken and eaten turned out to be the same one, entrusted to Pundlikrao by the Swami, that is coconut which they had broken and utilized for the chibuda, filled with fear and trembling. Pundlikrao arrived in Shirdi and so Baba had already received a wireless messages regarding the coconut from Tembi Swami. So he immediately asked Pundlikrao to give him the gift sent by his brother. Pundlikrao grasped Baba's feet and confessed his guilt and negligence, repented and asked for Baba's pardon. He offered to give Baba another fruit as a substitute, but Baba refused his offer, saying that the worth of that coconut was by far many times more valuable than an ordinary one, that it could not be replaced by another. But then Baba added, "Now you need not worry yourself any more about the matter. It was an account of my wish that the coconut was entrusted to you and ultimately broken out on the way. Why should you take the doorship of these actions on yourself? Do not entertain the sense of doorship is doing good or bad deeds. Be entirely without pride and ego in all things, and your spiritual progress will be rapid." Thus, what an exceptional and Baba profound spiritual instruction Baba gave. Balaram Dhurandhar. Mr. Balaram Dhurandhar may belong to the Pathar Prabhu, a community of Santa Cruz, Bombay. He was an advocate of the Bombay High Court and part-time principal of the Government Law School, Bombay. The whole Dhurandhar family was pious and religious. Mr. Balaram served his community and wrote and published an account of it. He then turned his attention to spiritual and religious matters. He carefully studied the Bhagavad Gita and its commentary, Jananeshwari, and other philosophical and metaphysical works. He was a devotee of Vithoba of Pandharpur. He came in contact with Sai Baba in 1912. 6 months previously, his two brothers, Babulji and Baman Rao, had gone to Shirdi and received Baba's darshan. They returned home and had mentioned their sweet experience to Balaram and other family members. Then everyone decided to go and see Sai Baba. Before the Durandar brothers went to Shirdi, Baba openly declared, "Today many of my Darbar people are coming." The Durandar brothers were astonished to hear that remark from others, as they had not given any previous information of their trip. While all the other devotees prostrated themselves before Baba and sat talking with him, Baba said, "These are my Darbar people to whom I referred before." He then said to the Durandar brothers, "We are acquainted with each other for the last 60 generations." All the brothers were meek and modest. They stood with joined hands, staring at Baba's feet. They experienced all the sattvic emotions and were quite happy, and then they went to their lodging, took their meals, and after resting a bit went to the masjid. Balaram sat near Baba and massaged his legs. Baba, who was smoking the chilim, offered it to Balaram. Balaram was not accustomed to smoking, but he reverently accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty, and returned it with a bow. This was a most auspicious moment for Balaram. He had suffered from asthma for past 6 years. At this smoke completely cured him of his illness. The disease did not trouble him again until 6 years later, when he suffered from asthmatic attack. At precisely the same time, Baba entered Mahasamadhi. The day the Durandar brothers visited Shirdi was a Thursday. Thus the brothers had the good fortune of witnessing the Chavadi procession. For fortune of witnessing the Chavadi procession that night. At the Arati function at Chavadi, Balaram saw the luster of Pandurang on Baba's face, and the next morning at the Kakad Arati, the same phenomenon, the luster of his beloved deity Pandurang again manifested on Baba's face. Mr. Balaram Dhurandhar wrote in Marathi an account of the life of Marathi saint Tukaram, but he did not survive to see its publication. It was published later on by his brothers in 1928. In a short note on Balaram's life given in the beginning of the book, the above account of Balaram's visit has been fully corroborated by page 6 of the book. Bow to Sri Sai, may peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.